This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. The global rebound from the COVID-19 pandemic is set to drive emissions of greenhouse gases that stoke climate change to all-time highs, the Paris-based International Energy Agency said in a report on Tuesday. We estimate that full and timely implementation of the economic recovery measures announced to date would result in CO2 emissions climbing to record levels in 2023, continuing to rise thereafter, it said. Spending plans for clean energy allocated by governments around the world in the second quarter add up to $380 billion, making up just 2% of the total stimulus funds in response to the pandemic, the IEA said.
Saudi Arabia was China's biggest crude oil supplier in June for the 8th consecutive month. Customs data showed on Tuesday, while shipments from United Arab Emirates and Kuwait fell further, possibly signaling slower imports of Iranian oil. Arrivals of Saudi Arabian crude oil reached 7.2 million tons last month, equivalent to 1.75 million barrels per day, according to data from the General Administration of Customs in China. Shipments from Russia were 1.62 million barrels of oil per day. China slowed crude oil purchases in the second quarter amid rising global oil prices and shrinking refining margins. Its imports in the first half fell for the first time year-on-year since 2013.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
Oil dropped towards $68 a barrel on Tuesday, extending the previous session's steep slide, pressured by concern that rising COVID-19 infections could weaken demand again just when OPEC Plus is increasing supply. Monday's sell-off had pushed oil to a two-month low and hit other riskier assets. While equities avoided a new sell-off on Tuesday, U.S. Treasury and German bond yields also slipped as a reminder that investors remained worried. As things stand, it is hard to see prices staging a comeback unless virus jitters are brought back under control, said Stephen Brennick of oil broker PVM.
The Department of Homeland Security on Tuesday required owners and operators of critical pipelines that transport hazardous liquids and natural gas to implement urgently needed protections against cyber intrusions. It was the second security directive issued by the department's Transportation Security Administration since May, after a hack of the Colonial Pipeline disrupted fuel supplies in the southeastern United States for days. The department said the action was in response to the ongoing cybersecurity threat to pipeline systems.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Gold prices climbed on Tuesday as concerns over a surge in COVID-19 cases due to the Delta variant lured investors to the safe haven metal, with a dip in U.S. Treasury yields providing a further boost. Spot gold was up 0.3% to $1,818.45 per ounce by 10:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, while U.S. gold futures gained 0.6% to $1,819.40. The precious metal has jumped about 4.3% from more than a two-month low hit last month, but is down 4% since the start of the year. Copper edged higher on Tuesday after falling 2.2% in the previous session, when surging coronavirus infection rates triggered a sell-off of assets like metals, equities and oil that benefit from economic growth. Benchmark copper on the London Metal Exchange (LME) was up 0.2% at $9,244.50 a ton in official trading. Prices reached a record high of $10,747.50 in May. The situation is changed in copper, which argues for a lower trading range, said independent analyst Robin Barr.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Argentine soyoil exports will likely rise, driving down prices internationally, due to a new law cutting the amount of soyoil-based biodiesel blended into common diesel fuel sold domestically, industry officials said on Monday. Lawmakers in Argentina, the world's #1 soyoil exporter, last week approved a measure allowing a reduction in the amount of soy-based biofuel to be mixed into domestically consumed diesel. The measure, backed by President Alberto Fernandez, was expected to sign it into law before the end of the month. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.